Right here, the captain of the expedition from the alien family, Stefan. You can't say that. He is a bad person, but he doesn't really care about his subordinates. Although this is a bad person, Selin goaded. It's dangerous here. Let him hide behind the trees, the protagonist thought with a calm face. This guy would be better. The harpies started to attack him with sharp feathers, but Tisin, with a calm face, thought he didn't even feel ticklish. Suddenly, one projectile hit him right in the eye, and he screamed in pain. The protagonist destroyed the monster with a slight movement of his hand and asked if he still had tears in him, despite all that hellish pain. Stefan shouted, "Let them report the situation. Are the mages and the saints safe?" Edward answered, "Right, they relive." Tisin asked, "Doesn't he want to know about them?" Stefan shouted, "Nobly the knights of Alien are strong. May the sweetness of victory come to their hearts. Let them rest." The protagonist approached Todd, thanked him with a smile and said he was alive thanks to him. He replied that he hadn't done anything special. Tisan asked if he remembered correctly. He was from the magic Tower of Delhi, right? He had a friend there. His name was Renard. Did he know him? Todd asked. Does that kid have such big friends? He's so sweet and cute. Actually, does he care? The protagonist answered. He's just curious about how he's doing. If everything's okay. Then Todd didn't finish listening and said he's all about studying, cramming all day. Tyson asked, has anything strange happened to him in recent years? Todd answered with admiration. His sharp nose, as always, is at its best, and high sides are like jewels. His skin is soft, the protagonist thought, with disgust. This guy is obsessed with his booty, just like Gerard, only in a slightly different sense. God, what should he do, Mabe? He should beat him to death. Tisan, barely containing his emotions, asked besides that he didn't notice anything in his behavior. For example, Todd answered. Heck, not sure about that. He's not particularly interested in his affairs or thoughts. Suddenly Silin came up to him and asked if he was hurt. The protagonist replied that he was fine. Let him go and examine the orcs. Silin began to treat them, and they said everything was fine. They were not in pain at all. Suddenly a knight called out to him and said, everything was fine with these orcs. They will heal, and that's fine. Why waste your energy on them? Tisan thought even though he was treating them, his kind attitude was more like love for animals. It's about the fundamental values of these people. The path of intelligent races to gaining rights is long and thorny. Suddenly, Stefan called out to Hyman, shouted, let him show the way faster. The protagonist pointed his finger to the side and mockingly said, let them guess straight ahead. Then to the right, there was a pond straight ahead. They would have to slow down a little. Stefan is displeased. What was wrong with his voice? Tisan answered with the same face. Nothing. A few hours later, the knights sat with horror on their faces. First there was a basilisk, then a dark wolf, and more than ogres. Why are there so many monsters nesting on such a tiny mountain? The protagonist thought with a sly smile. Is it because he is deliberately leading them along the most difficult path? He asked if they would like to rest. Stefan shouted furiously. Let everyone get up quickly. Tisan thought. Knights are arrogant and clergymen are two serious magicians on their own minds, and he is a magician to the core. He leads them along shortest path, so they have nothing to present to him. He certainly does not do this in order to burden them. Stefan said with a tired face, so this is it, the place of Sir Claude's death. Who would have known that there are so many monsters here? He climbed onto a rock, and seeing a strange structure in front of him, happily asked, is this it? Edward answered with a smile. Without a doubt, these are the ancient ruins of Paulton. After a while they approached the entrance. Edward said he thinks they can go. Stefan shouted, okay, let them get ready. The protagonist said with a smile, he will wait for them here. He said with a serious face, his work is done. He can go. Tisan said there is no way he can get back to the village by himself. Stefan replied, since he did his job and saw them off, they will protect him on the way back. A great man rests there. Let them respect his wishes. They will find the demonic sword alien. Let the valiant knights go ahead. After they left, the protagonist said with a smile, he will mind his own business for now. He thought right now this place, the ancient ruins of Tan, is completely filled with monsters and spirits. But originally in the Silver Age, with a strategic point and was used as a normal military facility, even if it was once the norm. The technology of the Silver Age cannot be envied now, so they are considered quite valuable. Tisan went inside and said he hasn't been here for a long time, really. In the past, he studied this place with Cirrus. He remembered how she said that the Sylphs whisper from here or there is a secret passage, right? The protagonist replied. Great job, she really is. His goddess Dison remembered all the depraved deeds and asked, what did he and Cirrus do right in the middle of the danger zone? Yes, Hayes, really. Brave, he put his hand to the wall and thought the key to the entrance is the balance of the seals of water and earth in reverse order. Right, the protagonist said of course he has a cheat sheet up his sleeve, only he lacks mana. So it will be difficult. Why does this body have such a stupid brain? After some time, he opened the secret door and said, finally, everything worked out. It is better for him to take off his jacket for now, and he can't throw away clothes that cost as much as silvers, and now it's time to test the physical capabilities of this body. Suddenly Herod, people screaming, Tison, said in fear. They went that way. Why are the screams coming? From there, if you think about it, a secret passage connects the third floor with the basement. If you open it, it will not be a very nice situation. He thought about it. This is a military structure after all. Activating any device with mana leads to the Lonkov traps designed to scare away uninvited guests. Last time he and Cyrus were here alone, so they did not think about other places, but right now Alston's squad is somewhere there. They probably fell into a trap and fell somewhere in the basement area. How unlucky he is at this time. The knights were fighting a powerful monster. Stefan, seeing the appearance of the enemy, thought fearfully they will not defeat this monster. Is it even possible for a person to defeat such a terrible demon? At this time Silin, sitting near the wounded knight, said, let the great fence illuminate this damaged soul with hishling light in an instant. The knight's wounds began to regenerate, and they thanked him, Silin thought, with a smillianly thanks to them. He himself would be able to survive here. He almost died when the floor under his feet suddenly collapsed. He called out to Todd, thanked him, and said that they survived only thanks to his magical protection. Hare replied that they may have avoided the damage from the fall, but what dangers await them further is unknown. Suddenly, a huge monster came out to them and threw back several knights with one attack. They began to run away. In horror, Anselin, at this time, began to use his ability and shouted, let the great feline crush this durable creature with his pillar of light. Let him grant his slaves unwavering courage. He wondered where is the vaunted courage of the Knights of Al. It is just a waste of muscles. Silence shouted, let the great fence descend upon them, an unbridled wave of courage in an instant. All the warriors under the influence of magic began to scream and ran to attack. Todd wondered in bewilderment how much holy power he poured into them, that they literally became berserkers. Edward shouted with fury, they will show these lower creatures their power. The warriors and monsters clashed in a fierce battle. Todising the ability shouted, let the earth stretch out its hands and reveal what it gave birth to. Suddenly the most powerful pushed him away and hit Lycia. She, bleeding, said that she was useless. At this time, Stefan began to attack and shouted she did a good job. In an instant, he destroyed the most powerful monster. Knights shouted, as expected of their lord. Stefan, with a serious face, shouted let them gather at once. Here fell Sir Claude himself, the greatest knight of the past. Suddenly the ceiling broke under the influence of a powerful blow. A huge fire monster appeared on the horizon. The terrible monster began Tokyo. The knights furiously, Stefan shouted, they themselves decided to go to the end, so let them not disgrace that title of the Knights of Alien, he thought with a serious face. He cannot die like this. He does not want to lose so shamefully. He is the last descendant of the great alien family. He is the only one who has the title of Unshakable. Stefan quickly approached the monster and used the ability Swift Strike, but monster counterattacked. From such a powerful blow, he flew far away. At this time, Silim said, in fear, let the great Philanan crush the vicious creatures with his ray of light. Powerful magical attacks flew into the fire monster. It looked at him with a wild look and attacked with lightning speed. Sudden lithe main character instantly appeared who repelled the attack of the monster. He hit the monster with a slight movement of his hand and defeated it. Tison thought, was that enough for it to die? It's no wonder that he almost died from one real carrier body. The protagonist looked at the defeated knights and said it would be better to move these guys to a safe place. At this time the monsters continued to attack. At this time the monsters continued to attack. Asked in fear, who is this guy? The protagonist with a serious face picked up Elsar in his arms, began to kill the monsters, and said let them not stand in his way. After some time, Stefan woke. Opened, seeing the corpses of the monsters, asked what happened. Edward told him about the protagonist. He asked in surprise. So he is a martial arts master. Stefan approached him and said he could not recognize such a representative warrior can. He find out his name Tessem began to call the real name but suddenly stopped and thought. Todd knows his clone who is studying in the tower. The protagonists introduced himself as Riffin. Edward thought he heard this name for the first time. If he was so strong, why hadn't he heard of him before? Stefan asked with a smile where he was from. Tisan replied that he didn't know himself. He thought in confusion. Was this a common rogue? He assumed he was an aristocrat on his own, but he turned out to be a commoner without any support. Stefan put his hand on his shoulder with a smile and said, it seems he just finished off those they almost finished off, but thanks for his work. Anyway, help never hurts. The protagonist brushed his hand off his shoulder and asked with a serious face, did his brain even work? If he assessed the situation like that, they should be speaking. Frankly, they were almost useless. Stefan asked furiously, how dare he? Where is his respect for Thelian family? Edward said excitedly. Let him calm down, commoners, don't know manners. He answered exactly. This was clearly not raised. Does he even remember Woe taught him? Tisan replied. He simply picked up various tricks everywhere. He thought about it. Master Gerard is very famous all over the world. You shouldn't mindlessly mention his name. Besides, he wouldn't want the knight to know about his every move. Stefan said. Such a level of skills for someone who simply pick it up is insane. The protagonist asked. What is the point of this? Interrogation. Don't they need to take care of the wounded? Edward thought about it. He has such a simple and natural manner of speech. Perhaps he just doesn't realize how arrogant his words sound. Tisan pointed his finger to the side and said, those could definitely use some help. Edward thought about it again. Such a manner is usually characteristic of those who hold a high position and are used to talking to subordinates. He doesn't even take age into account, as if nothing bothers him at all. Maybe this is a member of the royal family from foreign lands, right? It seems he has begun to grasp the nature of his arrogance. His expressions are characteristic of an adult who, like Dersanger. Once suddenly Salone approached the protagonist and asked with admiration, his name is Riffin, right? Houtel is he? Tisan replied. About cm. Heasked with admiration. How much does he weigh? The protagonist replied that he does not know, because he has not weighed himself for a long time. Silan asked with an admiring smile, how did he train Tochi such a body? Tisan answered in bewilderment. He endured beatings, ate, and carried a lot of weights. He said with admiration. He thought. So they say that martial artists never reveal their training methods so easily. The protagonist thought about it. This guy lost his parents early and grew up in an orphanage. In addition, he was often reproached for his cute face and frail body. Maybe deep down he longs to partake of what he cannot get, a healthy body. A low and sonorous voice. That is how he ended up among the monks who torture their bodies to prove their piety. But reality did not live up to his expectations. He never grew up, never matured, and his hair grew too fast. Despite his frail body, he began to train hard in the hopes of surpassing himself, but he could only build up godlike strength, constantly getting injured during training. That's why he is so envious of muscular guys, so that's why he devours him with his eyes, Silan said admiringly. He is so big and handsome, the protagonist said embarrassedly. He will go and look for a way out. He happily replied that he will go with him. Tessin asked. What if someone is injured and he is not around? Stefan said that he will go with him. Let Lesia stay here, and Helf does not mind it, right? The protagonist replied. Let him do as he wants. They headed down the corridor, and the brave knight thought, even if it was an accident, he cannot help but acknowledge it. The country bumpkin helped him. That's a fact, and in general helping knights would be an honor for him, although the way he commands freely suggests that he looks down on knights. He's just an insolent bastard. They'll see what he does when the demons show up. He'll show off his power and put him in his placia. Can't wait for the demons to show up. The protagonist hit the sore spot with lightning speed and knocked the knight out, saying that they were almost there. Let him take a nap. Suddenly monsters appeared and were rapidly Walking towards him, Tisan easily killed them and said that since all the interference was gone, it was time for him to look at Thetrasher. He entered the room and, examining the jewelry, said that this was excellent Woozer gold from the Silver Age. It should be around here somewhere. He found it. It was a bottomless bag, a magical artifact that allows you to carry times more items than this bag can hold. The weight is also reduced by Timeston, with a sly smile collecting things in a bag, said. He also found a heavenly brazier, a blade of return, and a magic sapphire. This is a whole ton of expensive loot. After some time, Stefan woke up and asked what happened. The protagonist answered he was hit right in the back of the head and immediately lost consciousness. The knight thought with displeasure. Why is everything going wrong today? He reluctantly thanked him for his help. Tisan, with a sly smile, said no need for thanks. He thought about it while the protagonist was digging up artifacts. He had to hit Stefan 3 more times, collecting things. He thought he didn't hit him again, right? Tisan said, however. This knight would have stayed in chocolate for the rest of his life in this case, so who cares? Stefan woke up again and thought with displeasure. It was strange because he was vigilant, but he couldn't notice anything at all. Couldn't be his fault. He should have a proper meal when he got back, the protagonist thought with a smile. The bag was overflowing. He would come back for the remaining loot another time. Tisan said it seemed like they had looked at everything here, so they should go back after a while. The entire army set off. Silan called out to the protagonist with a smile and asked, "Is he by any chance a prince?" Tisan replied that he was just an ordinary citizen. He asked, "Is he just an ordinary one? But he is so capable." The protagonist asked, "Is it really so rare for ordinary citizens to be outstanding?" S replied, "It's not that. It's just that." Comes off speaking in a condescending manner. Too naturally, he understands that he is self-confident, being a martial artist, and he can afford to boss, even Sir Stefan around, but to speak like that to Edward, who is over years old. Tezen thought, right, he's only in this life, he should be more careful, he said. Thoth just rarely met people on his way, so he forgot his manners. They came to a huge door, and a huge monster appeared behind it. The main character thought, is this GR? What is he doing here? He dozed. Meeting this monster here, Stefan started to take out his sword and said, "Who would have thought that this place is such a guard?" Tisan thought, now everything is clear. It's just that no one has taken care of him yet. He said that they should go back. Their forces cannot cope with this monster. One of the knights shouted in horror. Let the chief look at the sword in the hands of this monster. Stefan said in surprise, "This is the demonic sword alien." Edward is in fear. He doesn't think to fight this monster, does he? The chief asked. "Isn't it obvious?" he shouted excitedly. "It's too dangerous now that they have figured out who their enemy is. They better return to the manor and prepare for battle properly." Stefan shouted aggressively. What is he saying? Can't he see that the great knight's sword has been defiled? He thought with a serious face. He can't retreat. He will take the sword from him at any cost, the leader shouted. Even if this sword is in the hands of the Grimry Reaper, let the knights take up arms. Tisan thought with a serious face. What a foolish